Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, and you are listening to Potato Cast. So, yeah, I got a lot to go, well, not really a lot to go over, but I have a lot I want to say about today's topic. You already know what it is, because you saw the fucking title. But first, I want to get to your comments from last week, which, oh, by the way, I'm sorry the videos are late today. It's actually 1:30 in the morning right now as I'm recording this, and I'm just now uploading the latest Binding of Isaac Synergy video, because internet was out for like a long time today. Something like from 4 p.m. till about 10:30 p.m. I guess there was a fire and that caused it, so that kind of sucked. But there you have it. So anyway, last week I talked about Mighty Number 9 finally being released, but I had not played it yet. And I gave my thoughts on what was going on, sort of the controversy surrounding that, and I also talked about Bloodstained quite a bit because I got to play the E3 video, and by now you guys probably have seen the video I did of myself playing the E3 demo, and you got my thoughts on that. So anyway, I want to read through your comments from last time, and by the way, just so everybody's clear, just so you guys know, I as of like quite a while ago, I do read all the comments. If you have a comment that you don't want me to read on the show, let me know, but I don't see why you wouldn't, because that's how I react to them, because I don't have the time to comb through YouTube comments all the time and personally answer them. But yeah. So anyway, let's see. President Redfield says, #potato, well, I fucked up. Just before the Steam sale, my computer screen breaks. I broke my life. That does suck, but, the Steam sale is still going on for another 3 days. And, I hope you got that fixed. I really do. But the thing about Steam is you can buy stuff on the mobile version of Steam, and it'll be on your account, and then you could, install on your computer later. But there you go. That sucks. It doesn't sound like you fucked up. Doesn't sound like it was your fault, unless it literally was. Like, if you put your fist through the screen because somebody was wrong on the internet, maybe that would be your fault. But that sucks. But hey, it's not the only major sale. There's also going to be the holiday sale later on. It's just this is the longest summer sale ever. And actually, let me stop here to actually talk about the games that I've gotten. Well, let's see. Some stuff I got for other people, so I'm not gonna count that in there. But I did get the Castlevania trilogy. I got Castlevania Lords of Shadows Ultimate Edition, which I had originally had it and played it on Xbox 360, but I did not have the Ultimate Edition. I did not have the DLC. And the reason I'm getting it on PC is, 1, so I can play it on PC, and 2, so I could play the DLC without having, okay, I'm going to hook up the Xbox, I'm going to, sign in, I'm going to put money on my Xbox. Well, who needs that in this day and age, And 3, so I could possibly do Let's Plays. I got Mirror of Fate HD, which was on the 3DS, which is actually a pretty decent game, despite sort of the iffy reviews on it. And I got Castlevania Lords of Shadows 2 and its DLC, and I actually did not know that Castlevania Lords of Shadows 2 had DLC. It was one of the last few games that I really played on Xbox 360, and I didn't know that there was DLC for it. I didn't like that one as much as the other two, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't as good as the first two. A few people got me some games too. Julie just got me a game that I never heard of. What was it called? Let me go onto my Steam library here. She got me a game called Castle in the Darkness, and she just said that she was browsing games on... Oh, it looks like Wayne and Lycia's play it. On Steam on the sale, and she saw it, and she thought it was right up my alley, and I was like, okay. And I was actually at work when I got the email, and the alert about that I had received the Steam gift, so I had to wait till I got home, and I finally looked at it, and I was like, wow, it does look like a pretty cool game. It's definitely retro, pixely, but it looks cool. So I got that. My friend Andrew got me System Shock and System Shock 2, which is good to own those legit. I never had like legit copies of those. Did I pick up anything else? I was kind of trying to take it easy because I didn't have a lot of funds for games, but I did buy a few games for other people. So there is that. But anyway, somebody got me The Witcher, the first Witcher, which was pretty cool. I thanked them for that, but they never answered me. And they also got me another game that I never heard of, which was sort of an FMV game called... unfortunately, I don't remember what it was called, and I can't find it on my list right now. But it was sort of like a horror game, and it looked kind of kitschy, but maybe in a good way. So there's that. That being said, let's move on with the comments. Silver Music Box says, Mighty No. 9 is a weird one for me, since I was looking forward to it, and then the shady tactics happened, and I felt like not wanting to support Concept. Best part about it was that I said I was losing interest with the game, and so many people with rose-tinted glasses were attacking me for it, which was laughable at best. Now that it's out, I've played it at my friend's place. I think the game is mediocre, not good or bad, but kind of disappointing considering Shovel Knight is a way better game with a lower budget. By the way, I liked your Let's Play on Shovel Knight. It's kind of not fair to compare it to Shovel Knight, because Shovel Knight is, a completely different style of game, and, you're talking about lower budget, that means nothing. And I've been trying to explain this to people. When you take $4 million and you divide it up by 11, all of a sudden it's a very small budget, because Mighty No. 9 was released on 11 fucking platforms, which I think is kind of ridiculous, but it also was sort of endemic of the problem of it being delayed and them having to come up with stretch goals and shit, because originally it was, the main consoles were Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 and like Vita and 3DS, and now you're adding an Xbox One, PS4. Of course, there's a PC version, but then there had to be a Mac version. I mean, Mighty No. 9 is even available for the NVIDIA Shield Portable. So, it's kind of, and honestly, like, the idea that a bigger budget means a better game is so dumb. It's so dumb. Was I disappointed by Mighty No. 9? Well, I'm going to get to that in a little bit, because that's actually the main topic I want to talk about. But, yeah. King Boobia says, #PotatoCast, Hey Necro, I'm a huge fan of the channel, and I've followed your channel since Season 1 of Clearing Confusion. I always have respected how you run your channel, and I've done things to make the channel grow. My favorite thing about the channel are the informative series you do, such as Urban Legends of Video Game, Clearing Confusion, and the Gaming Encyclopedia. Sorry. As well as the features where you play every game in a franchise up to a certain point, like Sonic, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter series you did. My question for you is, do you have plans to do any informative series or franchise Let's Plays in the future? Thank you for hours of entertainment, and congratulations on your weight loss. I hope everything goes well for you moving forward, and much respect, Necro. I do not have plans to do franchise Let's Plays, but I do have plans to do informative series. I do have a series that is going to be like completely revolved around the Binding of Isaac Rebirth and Afterbirth, which I'm going to call the Education of Isaac, and that is going to be a thing. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I do have something for after that. After that's done, I do have an informative series that I have not started working on yet, but I have started conceptualizing what I want to do. I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to get people all in a tizzy, but I do want to return to that sort of thing because I've always liked doing it. Ross Edwards says, I've given to Castle Story, good game, though sadly I've hardly played it. I've of course given to Mighty No. 9, played it, enjoyed it. I've given to the Shantae reboot, Half Genie Hero, looked fun, and I've also given to the remake of a classic gem from my childhood, Toe Jam and Earl. Looking forward to that one. Haven't seen too much of anything on Kickstarter I'd be interested in, but I'm looking at other games coming down the pipeline, such as Crydevo's Universim. Well, I was not a Toe Jam and Earl fan. I did not even know that they were doing a remake, but yeah, I mean, for me, it really has just been Mighty No. 9 and Bloodstained. Let's see, Hawkstar5088 says, speaking of summer sales, I don't know why I waited so long, but I just bought Codal for 50 cents. Haven't played it yet. Codal being Chronicles of Dark Lord. He spelled it C-O-A-D-L, and at Kazar Studios, we literally do call the series Codal because Tanya started saying that. So if you hear me say Codal, I'm talking about Chronicles of Dark Lord. I haven't played it yet, but I'm definitely excited. Well, I'm definitely excited for people to play more of Chronicles of Dark Lord. I hope you should pick up the sequel, because it's only $1 right now. And I recommend you do that before the sale's over. Let's see. The Undertaker says, Tuned Inside had to close his main account because of these stalkers, but he has a new one now. I can send it to you if you like, Necro. He is also on a site called Spreaker.com, where he does podcasts, and Haggy Rants does on there too. They made me a new member of their Haggy family, and I'm very honored. They are very nice. That's cool and all. I had a hard time getting in touch with. I got his Skype info, and we were going to do some sort of collaboration because I think Tune Inside is a pretty cool channel. I think closing the account like that was a mistake. I think that they had gotten a strike, a community guideline strike for something, and they just like burned the whole thing down, which I think is sort of like, the closing the barn after the horse already got out sort of thing. And community guideline strikes, I mean, I've had one in the past. They go away after all. They're only on there for like 6 months, and I think that it was a very knee-jerk reaction. And I think that some people take YouTube so seriously that when something bad happens like that, they take it as an affront and everything. And sorry, my Andrew is telling me about the shit he just took. I wish him the best luck. I don't know what his new channel is. I actually would like you to tell me what it is, but no, I think that like you just gotta kind of put your head down and push forward, you know. Like, I know Haggy Rants recently put up a video that I didn't even get to see because it was taken down, like, immediately. And YouTube recently changed their guidelines, and the thing is, we're going to have to respect that. We're going to have to follow it, and that's just the way it is. I mean, it is a private enterprise. They are allowed to change what their guidelines are and set them, and, you know... I've been on YouTube for a long time, and I've seen it go through a lot of changes, and I'll tell you that objectively, YouTube is better now than it was back in, like, 2006, you know? That being said, is it perfect? No, there are issues, but they're constantly trying to work with it because it's grown so exponentially. I'm not really interested in this, like other alternate site. Like, there are people who've done that, and they're like, I'm fed up with YouTube because of this, that, and the other. I'm going to this other site, and these other sites are always, like, such a fail. You know, as for Haggy Rants, you know, like I said, I've said in the past, sort of, I have mixed feelings about the guy. He seems like a dude who is very genuine and very honest and just, you know, like a good person in that sense. But he also can be pretty abrasive, and I know he's like one of those dudes that he's like, he doesn't care about that. He's like, fine, fuck you, don't watch me, you know? I watch some of his videos, I don't watch them all. I'm a fan of his, but at the same time, I think that he, you know, he carries himself in a way that I wouldn't. So, but I do respect the guy. I'm going to move on here. So, Dyslexic Gamer says, don't read this comment on air. Okay. Alright, moving on. See, that's what you gotta do. Red Devil Dazzy 2007 says, excellent points about Mighty Number 9. I remember donating back in 2013 and really wanted this game to be the best it can be. I really want to try the Vita version, however, I read it's still in development. I just want to say, anybody who was looking to get the Vita version or Xbox 360 version, don't be surprised if they never come out. It might be a situation kind of like with Mortal Kombat X, where they try to get it out on the older systems and it just doesn't work out, or it's just not up to the standards, so they don't release it. Or it might just be lack of interest, you know, because they sent out that survey a few months ago asking people who were backers what platform you want the game on. And the thing is, like, when people donated, they might have been thinking Xbox 360, or they might have been thinking Vita back in 2013. It's 2016 now. They're not thinking that. So, unless the community shows enough interest to make actually releasing it for the Vita not financial suicide, it probably won't come out. So, you know, I hope it does, because I love the Vita. I think the Vita is great. It's just, it is a failure. It is not a commercially viable system, even though it is a great system. For whatever reason, it didn't catch on the way that it could have. It didn't even... it was sort of like a more extreme version of the PSP. The PSP was a great handheld. I love the PSP. Like, if you ask me, like, which system do you like more, the PSP or the DS? And I would say, well, I think the PSP is a better system, but, like, the DS has way more games that I want to play. You know, the DS just had a better library, because... for whatever reason, the PSP didn't sell all that well, and therefore developers are developing less games for it. And it's sort of the same thing with the Vita. Like, the Vita, I think it's, like, cooler than the 3DS in a lot of ways, but which do I play more? I play my 3DS way more than I play my Vita, simply because there are more games. There are a lot of cool games on Vita, and I love playing like classic PS1 games on it on the go and everything. But at the same time, it's like there's not a lot there, you know? BioPhoenix says, I have not played either, but Bloodstained has more interest for me, and I might get Mighty Number 9 later on since I have a huge backlog. Well, who doesn't, right? But I think Kickstarter is a great thing as long as the people behind the projects are honest, and unfortunately it's Concept. Everybody keeps calling them Concept with an N. It's Concept. Concept bit more than they could chew. I think it's a fair assessment to say that they bit more than they can chew, not in the development of the game, but in, like, first of all, getting ahead of themselves. Apparently, and that's another thing. I said, earlier about the $4 million divided by 11, it's not a whole lot of money because they had to develop it for 11 different platforms. But also the fact that apparently only 60% of the money raised on Kickstarter went to development of the actual game, and 40% of it went to development of an animated series based on the game, which I kind of think, it's almost like an Action 52 sort of thing where they were trying to market Cheetah-Men, and they had this whole empire of like toys and an animated series and clothing and everything in their mind, based on this game, and they thought it was going to be like the second coming of the Ninja Turtles, and the thing is, like, Cheetah-Men sucked. Now, I'm not going to say Mighty Number 9 sucked like Cheetah-Men sucked, but the thing is, like, you want to make sure that the game is out first before you start trying to build on that. You want to make sure that it's a hit before you start building on, okay, how can we take advantage of this popularity? See, I think that they mistook the enthusiasm of backers and the amount of money they were getting for this is definitely going to be a success, and, this is definitely going to be a major, major thing. But I do want to think that even though that they made mistakes in that, I do want to think that it didn't come so much from ignorance, but I think it came from really wanting to not be Capcom. I think that we know that a lot of people, myself included, were very, very unhappy with the way that Mega Man franchise has been handled over at Capcom, and the way that we haven't gotten any games other than like a mobile game recently, and it wasn't even good. And they just seem to have no plans to do anything with Mega Man other than releasing, like, like the Legacy Collection. And honestly, like, if you ask me, like, how's the Legacy Collection? I don't know. I didn't get it because, like, first off, like, I could have got it on 3DS, but I already had those 6 games on the Virtual Console on 3DS. So, like, why would I get it for the Legacy for online leaderboards and shit that I don't care about? And also, like, the fact that it's called Mega Man Legacy Collection and only has 6 games is kind of crazy when there was the Mega Man Anniversary Collection that I had for GameCube. It was also available on PS2 and Xbox that had 10 games on it. So that's sort of crazy that it had Mega Man 1 through 8, and it also had the 2 arcade games. So... And there was the Mega Man X Collection that I have for GameCube that had 7 games. It had all the first 6 Mega Man X games, and it had, like, that kart racing game for PlayStation. So, in all reality, I think that they did bite off more than they can chew in the fact that they put so much money towards an animated series when, like, we don't know that, like, we're necessarily interested in an animated series. I'm interested in seeing a second game more than I'm interested in seeing a series. And mainly, and I'll talk about that more a little bit after I get done with the comments, because I do want to dedicate pretty much the entire episode to my thoughts on Mighty Number 9. I did record a Let's Play of it. I have beaten it, and the only thing I haven't played is the Ray DLC. But, like, my main takeaway from it is that it does need a sequel. Let me move on here. I don't think I have a whole lot left. Here's SSerpent21, hashtag potato. Hey, Necro. No new games for me. Too many I bought and still need to get to. Never mind that I would love to get a few like Isaac for PS4 so I can get Afterbirth and maybe a new computer one day so I can get into GOG. GOG is like... I don't know, GOG's a pretty cool site and everything, but like Steam is objectively way better than GOG. Speaking of Kazara Studios, any news on what Episode 3 will bring us? A new game engine, perhaps? Thank you. Okay, well, obviously, I cannot say a lot. There have been some recent developments. There have been some things going on behind the scenes that I really can't tell you about because it's too early. Okay? It's too early. But I will tell you what I can about Chronicles of Dark Lord Episode 3. What I can tell you is the title of it is Rise of Nihility. It will take place at least 10 years after Episode 2 ended. And it will be in a different game engine than the first two. As a matter of fact, like, the first one was in one game engine, and the second one was in a different game engine. The third one will be in a different game engine. So all three games have a different engine. I can confirm that we are going to do it. As for whether or not we are currently working on it, I can't confirm or deny that, because we have a lot of projects, and I don't want to talk about Episode 3 as much because it's so far on the horizon. But I will say that the scope of it is vast. It is not the last game in the series by any means, but it is the end of a trilogy. And therefore, it has a pretty big scope, and it's going to be a long development cycle. So, you're going to be waiting a while for Episode 3. That being said, I'm glad that you're excited about it, but I will tell you that the current thing that we are working on a bunch of things, but the current thing that we're really working on a lot is an expansion to Episode 2, which adds an entirely new chapter to the game that will take place 6 months after the ending. So, I'm going to tell you that I wrote the story for the expansion personally, and if you play it, it will give you plenty of hints as to the direction that the story is going for Episode 3, since aside from telling its own story, it also exists to set up the third game. Okay, EIDXOF, Idzoff? I don't know. He says, what is up with people's timing? I want to read that in like the Seinfeld voice. Like, what is the deal with people's timing? Every time I start a phone call, I get numerous text messages and my phone goes nuts, sort of like the start of your video. And actually, I just hung up from receiving a phone call while typing this, LMAO. About Capcom, though, lately, they piss me off. I think that, yeah, they do piss you off. I don't know, like, it really is just a coincidence, but it seems like sometimes I'll be sitting here for like an hour, like basically doing nothing, and my phone will be completely silent, and then I'll be like, I'm going to record something. I'm going to record Potato Cast, or I'm going to record a Let's Play, and all of a sudden it'll start going ballistic. And I won't think I have to silence my phone because it hasn't been doing anything. I'm not even thinking about my phone. But then it's like, ugh, there it goes, bloop, bloop, bloop. Stormcrow95 says, I like seeing what you and Johnny from Some Call Me Johnny said about Bloodstain's demo, and honestly, I love that Iga made it a passion project instead of reactive thing like some projects out there happen to seem like it looks really put together, had me hyped from the start. I gotta say that I was hyped from the start, and I'm more hyped having played it. Absolutely fucking brilliant demo. Armageddon Time says, I could pick up the Wii U version, but I'll hold out for the Vita version of Mighty Number 9. Personally, I like how it looks in the combo system. Intersets me? Oh, yeah, he types on his phone, because so I think he got it auto-corrected. Interests me. As for Bloodstained, I saw the demo, and just wow. It checks all the boxes I'm looking for. I think I'm more stoked for it than Mighty Number 9. Yeah, I gotta agree. I mean, I've always been more stoked for Bloodstained, because as much as I love Mega Man, Castlevania is my favorite series, so yeah. Lucas 2009 says, I do not have it, nor have I played Mighty Number 9, but I've seen it enough of it to come to the conclusion that it appears to be aggressively okay in my eye. Doesn't mean I won't get it, but I'm going to wait for it to go on sale for about 50% off before getting it. As for the Steam sale, I most likely won't be getting much during it. I'll be getting the Chronicles of Dark Lord games, thanks for pointing their sales out, Necro, and a few games like the Hyperdimension Neptunia series that I'm missing. Yes, call me a dweeb all you want, but I enjoy the quirkiness of the franchise. Nothing wrong with that. I look at those games, and they look interesting to me. Oh, and here's Idzoff again. He says, oh, that's the same comment. He must have double posted. Okay, well, that's all the comments. All right, let's talk about Mighty Number 9. So, since the last episode of Potato Cast, I have played through the whole game. I have actually recorded a Let's Play of it, and I have news to give you guys. I have fast-tracked the Let's Play. Because right now, we're uploading Call of Duty United Offensive. And I actually only have one more video of Call of Duty United Offensive to upload. And then the schedule was, after Call of Duty United Offensive ended, I was going to start Kirby's Dream Land, which is actually only 2 videos, and then Braid after that. and then Gunstar Heroes after that, Deadpool after that, Doom 3 after that, Spear of Destiny after that, and that's as far as I've gotten. And then I recorded Mighty Number 9. But since it's a new game and it's kind of topical right now, I decided to fast track it. So actually, Mighty Number 9 is going to go up right after Call of Duty United Offensive ends. So you will be seeing the first video of the Mighty Number 9 Let's Play, along with the last video of the Call of Duty United Offensive Let's Play on the same day, which is going to be Monday. Oh, man. Is it Monday? I think it's Monday. Because Saturday I got Isaac, and then Sunday is Dragon Quest. Yeah, so Monday is when the Mighty Number 9 Let's Play begins. So anyway, Mighty Number 9 Let's Play is 13... Well, right now it's 13 videos. There's probably going to be 14. Because I do want to do that Vermilion Destroyer level with Ray and all that. But it's basically one level per video. So there's the intro stage, there's the 8 normal levels, and then there's, like, you know, the so-called fortress levels, and there's a level where you play as Call and everything. And yeah, and then well, I'll tell you guys what happened at the end here. If you guys have seen my Let's Play of the Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures game, there was, like, the level that was... There was the video that was dedicated to the last level, the Laugh and Joke and Numbnuts level, and then there was, like, several videos of me trying and failing to beat the last boss. And something similar happened with Mighty Number 9. I got through the last stage in one video, and then died on the last boss. And then there is another video. It is almost 2 hours long. And that is me just fighting the last boss over and over and over again until I finally beat it. And then there's me giving my thoughts on the game and the credits and all that. And no, not the whole credits, because actually if you were to sit through the whole credits of Mighty Number 9, it's something like 4 hours long. But yeah. So anyway, and then I haven't recorded it yet, but I'm probably going to do the Vermilion Destroyer level. So, what do I think about it? Well, if I'm going to compare it to Mega Man games, because that's what everybody's doing, and that's the natural thing, since this was built from the get-go as sort of a spiritual successor to Mega Man. I want to say that I like it about as much as I like Mega Man 1. That is to say that it's a good game. It's a good game. It's certainly not a bad game. Like the Steam reviews would have you believe. Like, if you look at the reviews on Steam, they're like, oh, this game is trash, this game is terrible, I'm so disappointed. Am I disappointed? Maybe a little bit, because I was hoping that it would be amazing. But having seen it through its development, you know, I kind of knew it wasn't going to be amazing. I saw the writing on the wall a long, long time ago. But I only put $20 into this, and I would have bought this game for $20 had it just been... Like, if Capcom released this, and it was for $20 on Steam, I would have bought it. You know? I would have checked it out. And I would have been happy with that purchase. And it's because, really, not every game has to be a fucking masterpiece. Not every game has to be a 9 or a 10 out of 10. And it seems that gamers today, like, there is a lot of sense of entitlement for everything to be amazing, and I'm reminded of an old meme about IGN saying that, you know, giving a game like I think the meme was it was a review blurb saying this game is literally unplayable, and the score was 7 out of 10, and it's sort of the joke that anything below an 8 might as well be considered garbage to most people. Now, if you guys follow my movie reviews, you know that I do not subscribe to that. I know that when you use a scale of 1 to 10, I use every number on the scale, which means to me that a 10 is the best, a 1 is the worst, and a 5 is average. So if I was to give it a score without using fractions, it'd be a 6. It'd be an above average game. It would be a 6 leaning towards a 7. And I think that with some patches and some work, it could be a 7. It's a good game. It's not a great game, but it is a good game. And I said it's a lot like Mega Man 1. And it is the first one. It is not Mega Man 11. It is not a new Mega Man series from people that have been making Mega Man. Yes, it is a new game that is hopefully the beginning of a new series from a lot of people who mostly work on Mega Man games. But it is a new game. And the thing about that is there's always going to be that early installment weirdness. If you look at Mega Man 1 compared to every other game in the series, there's only 6 Robot Masters instead of 8. There's points when there were no points in any other games. And by the way, points are a huge part of Mighty Number 9. There were issues with the controls in Mega Man 1. But it was still a good game. It had really fun designs. It had some good levels. It had some levels that were bullshit, but it had some good levels. It had some great designs. It was fun. And that's exactly how I feel about Mighty Number 9. There were some parts of it that were bullshit, and you'll see those in the Let's Play. There were some parts of it where I was like, this is bullshit. And there were other parts where I was like, this is actually pretty fucking good. This is fun. I'm liking this. Some of the complaints that people had, like some people were complaining that the powers you get from defeating the bosses in each level, some of them are more useful than others. That's actually a complaint to people. And I'm thinking, like, have you played Mega Man? Like look at Mega Man 2. Like, people are saying that in Mighty Number 9, and this is very true, when you get the Brand's weapon, it's a sword. And the great thing about it is that it doesn't use up weapon energy to swing the sword. If you charge it up into the flurry attack, that uses up weapon energy. But you could literally, like, just, turn into that form and play the game like you're playing Zero in Mega Man X and go through a lot of the game just with that weapon. And it's actually a lot of fun. And people are saying that was super useful, but then there's some weapons like Dyna's weapon, which is like the taser thing that goes in different directions, is pretty much fucking useless. And I'm like, well, look at Mega Man 2. You can go through about 80% of the game just using the metal blades. First of all, like, Metal Man is the easiest boss to beat in that game anyway. It's not the easiest stage, but definitely the easiest boss to beat. And the fact that if you're willing to lose a couple of lives, you can get 2 energy tanks, right away. So it's like the game really wants you to start with Metal Man. And then you get the Metal Blades, which is a weapon that hardly uses any weapon energy, can be fired in 8 directions, cuts through bosses, like so many of them are weak to the Metal Blade. There's a few that are immune to it, like Quickman is completely immune to it. You can pretty much use it as a buster replacement throughout the majority of the game, and that's sort of like what Brand's weapon is like. And they're saying, well, Dyna's weapon is trash, you don't use it that much. But, like, okay, let's be honest. How often are we using the Leaf Shield? Like, let's be real here. Unless you're fighting Airman, there's no reason to use the Leaf Shield. Or actually, not even Leaf Shield. How often are we using the goddamn Atomic Fire? Like, if you're like me, you're saving Heatman for almost the very end. Sometimes I do Heatman last. Because, he's weak to the Bubble Lead, and I get the Bubble Lead pretty early, but his stage is really hard without having item number 2 anyway. And because the Metal Blade works on so many different people, you can go in sort of a really wonky order in Mega Man 2. But Atomic Fire's main thing is that on normal difficulty, you can charge it up all the way and kill Woodman in one shot. On hard difficulty, which is what I play on it takes 2 shots. But it's like, why would I do that when you can kill him so quickly by either using the Crash Bombs or using the Metal Blade? And the fact is, like, charging up the Atomic Fire all the way avoiding his shots is a pain in the ass. And there's no other point in the game that you would ever use the Atomic Fire. So essentially, the Atomic Fire from Heatman stage in Mega Man 2 is a weapon that is only useful, that is meant to be used in one specific circumstance, and is not even that great in that specific circumstance. And I felt that Dyna's weapon in Mighty Number 9 is similar to that. It's meant to be used against Shade. And the thing is, it's not that good. You don't get too much DPS on it. The damage isn't great. And it's actually way easier to fight Shade with Brand's weapon, the sword. Which, if you're going in the proper order, you would have by then. So, that being said, saying that that's a huge criticism of the game is kind of fucking stupid. Because all Mega Man games have had weapons that were really good, and weapons that were not so good, and weapons that were useless. Like, honestly, you name me any Mega Man game, and I can point out one of the weapons that you get that is fucking garbage. Like, going back to Mega Man 1, it would be the fucking power arm. Like, yeah, you know, it helps against that bubble thing, but, you know, if you throw all those blocks, then you really have, like, you really can't dodge them as well. Like, you don't have anything to climb on, and it really is better to just spam the Mega Buster in that case. But, yeah, and it's like, yes, it is technically the weakness of, was it Cutman? Yeah, Cutman. But Cutman is so easy that you don't, I mean, like, you don't need it. And it's like, the only really good thing about it is that you use it to get the magnet beam. But you can get the magnet beam because you have to break the blocks or get past them. You can use the elect beam. The only thing is, like, it's, you know, because it's an Electman stage, you'd have to go back there. But, you know, but that's sort of my point. Like, a lot of the things that, like, that people are complaining about were present in Mega Man. As for the graphics, like, some people complain about the graphics. I don't see the graphics as being bad. I see the graphics as being very, very cartoony, and it's definitely on purpose. Now, there were a few things that I did not like about the graphics. One thing that I did not like is that the characters talk without moving their lips, and I think it looks terrible when they do that. But that being said, I think the reason they did that was because they didn't want to have that issue that you see in games like, well, I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3D on the 3DS right now, and that has that issue. The Resident Evil games all had that issue back in the day, where the voice, the lips are moving to the Japanese voices, and you're getting the American voices, so you're getting that, like, you know, Godzilla syndrome, where what the guy's saying and his lips don't match each other, which is why I always say if you're going to watch foreign movies, I always watch them with subtitles, because dubs, I find dubs to be way more distracting than subtitles. But that being said, you know, I didn't mind the graphics. It was super cartoony, but it was always going to be super cartoony. I know some people were hoping for that look that Mighty Number 9 never had, by the way, but it was in the concept art of it being sort of like a cel-shaded game. And yes, that would have been cool and everything, but I don't know what reason they had for not going with that particular look. Maybe they tried and it didn't work, or blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Or maybe they just liked this better, but it's a cutesy game, just like Mega Man's a cutesy game. I mean, the Mega Man games were cutesy. And I think that, like, honestly, I like the look of Mighty Number 9 way more than I like the look of, say, Mega Man 8. You know? The voice acting was an issue because there were some characters that I think were acted really well. I don't know how the voice acting was in Japanese, and I think the game is also available in Spanish, and I don't know what it was like in Spanish. But I can tell you that as for the English voice acting, there were some characters that were absolutely a riot and that were acted really well. Avi was one of my favorites. Shade was pretty cool. There were a few others that had, you know, really cool voices. Beck himself was just fine. As a matter of fact, I like his voice way more than I like Mega Man's voice, because for some reason, when they gave Mega Man a voice in Mega Man 8, he sounded like a little girl. And I'm like, I know he's a kid, but he's a dude, you know? I mean, he should sound like a dude. And that's because Mega Man was voiced by a woman. And they did the same thing with Mega Man X and Mega Man X4, and to a certain extent Mega Man X5 was voiced by a female, sounded like a little girl. I never understood that. Mega Man X6, which only had Japanese voice acting, I thought all the characters sounded amazing. I couldn't understand what they were saying, and I was going by subtitles, but I thought it had great voice acting. That being said, there are some characters that are really good, and then Dr. Sanda, even though he's a fucking doofus and kind of a lame character on purpose, like, he was created to be lame, and, you know, you're supposed to kind of laugh at him. I laughed at him. I thought he was funny. That being said, there are some characters where the voice acting is absolutely fucking awful. Call is the big thing. First of all, Cole is a very minor part of this game. She serves almost no purpose. And I was hoping, like she's like Roll. In that sense, that Roll isn't really a part of the series. She's just sort of a background character who's treated as a major character because she was like one of the first few robots that Dr. Light made. She was the third robot that they made, you know, Dr. Light and Dr. Wily made. They made Proto Man, they made Mega Man, and then, like, Roll was the third one. That being said, Call kind of has that same thing, but for some reason all the robots in this have so much exuberance and personality. They all have they're like they all have emotion where Call does not. Call talks like a robot. You know, it's like like honestly, it's like a bad impression of a robot where everybody else talks normally like a person, even though they are robots, they're given emotion. So Call is emotionless. I do kind of find her a little bit creepy because of that, and I make a lot of jokes about it in my Let's Play about Call being creepy. I don't like her. I did like the level where you got to play as her because she plays so differently from Beck because she can't absorb cells from enemies. There's a lot of enemies that she can't destroy because she's underpowered. She's not made for combat. Or you have to think of a different way to destroy them than just, like, firing at them. So, but overall, I found her voice acting to be terrible. I don't know. I think that, like, I don't know, the woman that played her, they just said you're playing a robot, and she did a robot voice. Like this, I am a robot, you know? And they never said, no, they're like people, though. Because, I mean, then you compare to a character like Avi, who is like this jokester character who pretends like he's a newscopter because he's like a helicopter, and he's like, hey, it's Avi with Avi's eye on the sky here, and you know, he has this really exuberant voice. I found him to be very amusing. So the voice acting was kind of a mixed bag. There was some good parts, there's some bad parts. The story is a mess. The story's a fucking mess. It doesn't make much sense, but I mean, like, since when do we play Mega Man for the story? I mean, think about it. I mean, Mega Man X was a little bit more story-driven. Mega Man Zero was very story-driven. Mega Man Battle Network was very story-driven. Star Force was story-driven. But classic Mega Man, I mean, it had a story in the sense that a porno has a story. So it's like, you know, it's there, but it's not important. You know what I mean? Like, look at Mega Man 10. Mega Man 10 was like there was a robot disease called Roboenza where they got sick. I mean, they could have called it a computer virus or something, but no, they basically had robots getting the flu. Like, there's even a part where Roll gets the flu and she feels sick. You know, she doesn't glitch out; she feels sick, and like they give her the cure. Like Dr. Wily actually gives Roll the cure at the end of Mega Man 10. But it's like pills. Like a robot is sick and has to take pills. It's fucking ridiculous. And the whole thing, like, Mega Man 10 is also ridiculous because they try to paint Dr. Light as being the bad guy. And it's like, you know it's not Dr. Light. You know Dr. Wily's really the bad guy. And it was cute that he helped Roll at the end because, like, you know, he did have a hand in her creation. And even though, like, I don't even think that Wily wants to destroy Mega Man. I think that he wants Mega Man out of his way. But I think that, like, Wily is, you know, like his character's been wildly inconsistent from game to game anyway. So, I mean, you know, Mega Man 10 was, like, so ridiculous, but it was also really fun because, like, we're not playing Mega Man for the story. I mean, look at, like, the box arts. I mean, they were digital games, but they had box arts. For Mega Man 9 and 10, they were deliberate pastiches of the bad box arts that Mega Man 1 and 2 had, you know, in the United States, at least. So, that being said, the story, like, who cares, you know? Like, it's sort of, there's a few interesting things about it, but overall, you can completely disregard the story, skip all the story scenes, and just play the game and have fun, just like any Mega Man game. It's not like Mega Man X, where there's a really cool story going on, you know? The music was good. It wasn't, like, amazing, but it was good. I have nothing really to say about the music. It was just kind of there. It did its job. There were a few good tracks. Not much to say about that. The gameplay, I mean, the controls are pretty solid. At first, I felt the jumping was a little wonky. But that's just because it's not like Mega Man. He jumps a little differently. You know, Beck jumps differently than Rock does. He jumps higher. At first, I thought it felt floaty, but then I just realized he just has a higher jump. And it actually is a pretty good jump. The jump is pretty good, and dashing is really good. The level design is sort of like hit and miss. Like, some of the levels are really, really good, especially the last few levels. Some of the levels are okay. Like, I don't think there's any of them that are bad, but there are some levels that are just okay. Like, I think they could have done better. And really, that's what it is about Mighty Number 9. My assessment is I do think they could have done better. But that being said, I'm not disappointed because I did not, if it came out 3 years ago, I would have been usually disappointed because 3 years ago we were super enthusiastic and everybody's like, oh my god, this game is going to be amazing when it finally comes out, and everybody was thinking this was going to be like the Chrono Trigger of action games, and I made that comparison early on when I saw the creative team because I thought Chrono Trigger was huge because you had, the creator of Final Fantasy, the creator of Dragon Quest, and teams from Square, teams from Enix in a way, but Enix didn't develop games. Chunsoft. So you had the Chunsoft team and the Squaresoft team coming together to make a game. So it's like here we have Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy creators coming together to make a game, and it wasn't like Final Fantasy, and it wasn't like Dragon Quest. It was like its own thing too. And here I thought you have these people that worked on all these different Mega Man games, and just like a lot of people who were just super experienced in working on action games, and it could have been that. But like I said, I've been following the development of this game very closely throughout the years, and not even to get into the delays and the controversies and whatnot, but when I saw the way the game looked and the way the game played, I thought, okay, I know what this is going to be. Am I surprised by what it was? No, because I knew what it was going to be. I had fun with it. I did not at all get the feeling of playing a bad game. I think one of the bosses was Pyrogen was bullshit. He had a great stage. He had one of the best stages in the game, but it was one of the worst boss battles. Because he has this one attack that if it connects, it kills you. It doesn't matter how much health you have. It just destroys you. It's like hitting spikes. As for spikes, some people have said that the spikes, like the Mega Man spikes, were overused in this game. I actually felt that they were used pretty well. There were a few stages that had a lot of them, and there were a few stages that had barely any at all. And I think that the placement was pretty good. There were a couple of parts that you're going to have to do over and over again. And I think the frustration is that by default, the game gives you 2 extra lives. So you have 3 lives, and if you lose all 3 lives, you go back to the beginning of the stage. You lose your progress through the stage. That being said, you can go to the options and you can give yourself 9 extra lives. And there's absolutely no penalty for that. There's no achievement for doing it, without, upping the amount of lives. There's achievements for doing the levels without dying. There's even achievements for doing the levels with only dying once. But it's the thing, like, we could all sit there, like, I could bring up Mega Man 3, or like Mega Man 7, or Mega Man 2, or whatever Mega Man, and play through it, and maybe die once or twice because I'm rusty, but I know how to get through it, I know the weaknesses, I know the stage layouts. We're going into a game where we don't know it, so there's going to be that trial and error. It's going to be like kind of like playing Mega Man 9 for the first time. Everybody was saying that Mega Man 9 was ridiculously hard. When I played through it, I thought, well, this is one of the tougher Mega Man games, but it's not the hardest Mega Man game. And I didn't think that it was unusually hard for the series, because that's the way Mega Man games are. And they were talking about, like, bullshit spike traps and things like that, but Mega Man's always had that. It's just that when you've played a game for 20 years, you know how to get past that part. So some of the parts and levels are learning experiences. This game is challenging. It is tough. The last boss is really hard. It took me a lot of tries to beat her. That being said, once I understood the patterns, I had an easier time. There was one part where she does this attack that's sort of like a volcano attack, where there's just, like shots firing everywhere. And it seemed so random to me that I had a really hard time dodging it, and you take a lot of damage from that attack. And it's in the second form, so, like, it's rough. That being said, eventually I figured out a way to reliably dodge it, and that became the part of that boss battle where I was actually able to deal out the most damage to her, and that led to me beating her. So that being said, it is a game that you're going to have to learn the techniques, you're going to have to learn the patterns. It is a healthy challenge. So like I said, there are a lot of things about Mighty Number 9 I like. There are a few things that I did not like. Overall, I would recommend the game. I would not pay any more than $20 for it, which is why I'm glad that that's what it is. And if you feel that that's too much, it's on Steam. It will be on sale. It's not currently on sale because it came out during the Steam sale. But here's the thing. games go on sale all the time. And if you doubt my words, my recommendation to you is to watch my Let's Play, which is starting next week. Because there's lots of Let's Plays out there already, and you could watch those. But most of them don't have commentary, which I think is interesting. And minus commentary, it's a completely blind Let's Play. The only thing I looked up was the order to do the bosses in, the stages, because I didn't want too much trial and error. I didn't want it to be a super long thing. That being said, yeah. So, like I said, if I was to give like an IGN style review score where there's like fractions, decimal points and shit, I would give it like a 6.7. It's like a 6 leaning close to a 7. It is not a bad game. It is definitely a budget title, but it is a good budget title. Like, if you ever played a game that was a budget title that was like a $20 Wii game or like a $20 Xbox game or whatever, that was like you got it or somebody got it for you or something, and you're like, you know what, this isn't bad. This is actually kind of fun. It's like that. It's not a AAA game. It's not an indie darling like Shovel Knight. Okay, it is not nearly as good as Shovel Knight. Like, Shovel Knight is a 10. I think it's unfair to compare them in a lot of ways because it's apples and oranges. But it's not a bad game. It's not the terrible piece of shit that people are making it out to be. I understand the disappointment of thinking it was going to be a masterpiece and then it's not. But I think that if you followed the writing on the wall, we would have seen that it was always going to be what it is. Inafune, I mean, there was a lot of controversy about something he said where, it's better than nothing. And I think I think it was sort of mangled translation in a way. I think that what he was trying to say was, we're lucky to have done this game at all. We're lucky to have made it. And recently he did come out and he said that he owns any problems in this game, and that if you want to call him names, you can call him names, and he takes full responsibility for anybody's disappointment. Some people have said he's not a game developer, he's a businessman. Maybe that's true. I don't know what to think personally. But regardless of what you think of Keiji Inafune, and I personally am unsure of what I think about him after playing Mighty Number 9, because I have negative thoughts and positive thoughts towards Keiji Inafune. But I always did. Well, not always. I used to have only positive thoughts toward him, but when he got involved in that Ninja Gaiden game, the Ninja Gaiden Yaiba Z game, I was like, this is disgusting on so many levels. He should not be involved in such a shitty game. Not even just, even before it came out, not even, shitty gameplay. I'm talking about just a shit concept and a shit idea that never should have existed. So I've had mixed feelings on Inafune for quite a while. But that being said, there was a lot of talent involved in this. And I know he's trying to own it, and he's trying to, take the fall for everything, so to speak. But a lot of people worked on this game, and there's a lot of talent involved. And I see the parts that were good. I see the parts that were not so good. And I think overall, this was their first game. No, it wasn't the first game that each person worked on, but it was the first game that they made as a team. And it was the first game in this series. I do hope it gets a sequel. Because who knows? Maybe this is like Mega Man 1. And the next one would be like the 2 of the series. Like Mega Man 2 was so great. And then Mega Man 3, I think, was even better. A lot of people are very, very attached to 2. For nostalgic reasons, but objectively Mega Man 3 was a better game. Objectively Mega Man 4 was a better game. But subjectively, a lot of people think subjectively, and that's fine if you want to think that way. A lot of people are attached to 2. And a big part of what made Mega Man 2 so special is that it took everything about the first game that worked and expanded on that. And it got rid of everything that didn't work. And that's what they could do. This could be a learning experience for these developers, where they say, okay, we're going to take the parts of Mighty Number 9 that worked, we're going to make it better, and we're going to ditch the parts that didn't work. Will the gaming community give them a chance to do so? Because I kind of feel like the gaming community has become the new Capcom. Capcom never wanted to give Mega Man a chance, ever since the beginning. Mega Man was a game that when it was created and showed to the executives at Capcom, they said, well, it's a good game, but it's never going to sell. It's never going to be a hit. They released it as sort of a budget title for the Famicom. When they released it in America, they released it as something, they called it Challenge Series, where they were saying, yeah, this game is like for hardcore gamers, not everybody's going to enjoy it, sort of thing, you know? And it wound up being a hit. It wasn't a major hit, but it sold enough that, you know, they didn't lose money. But even then, you know, all these people that worked on Mega Man, like Tom Pon and Inafune and all the others, they wanted to do a sequel. They wanted to improve on it. They're like, we have ideas. We can figure this out. We can make it better and fix all the issues that Mega Man had and make Mega Man 2. And Capcom told them no. And they begged, and they begged. They said, we really want to do this. And they actually... and this is a really interesting anecdote for people who are interested in gaming history. Capcom made a deal with their developers, and they said, you can work on Mega Man 2 in your spare time. They gave them a project to work on, which was, I forget what game it was, but it was a home version of an arcade game, and they said, this is your primary project. You want to work on Mega Man 2, you do it on your own time. And that's what they did. Everybody that was involved in Mega Man 2 did it on their own time. And the game wound up being a huge hit. It wound up leading into this whole huge series. You know. And it's considered a classic. And rightfully so. That being said, the gaming community has kind of become that. Like, Mighty Number 9 has some issues. Everybody's condemning it. And it's sort of like the way Capcom condemned Mega Man after the first game. And it's like, you know, they had to beg. They had to beg for a second chance. Can't we learn from history? Can't we not make them beg for a second chance? Can't we give them the benefit of the doubt and say, we're going to give you a second chance. You know, let's hope it turns out better. And, you know, and then if they fuck it up, you nail them to the wall. But I think everybody deserves a second chance. Really. I really do think that. I mean, okay, not everybody. I mean, like, you know, maybe not child molesters, but, you know, like in game development, I think, you know, I can't think of a developer that hasn't made a bad game. It happens, you know? And if there's like some new developer like Yacht Club that has only made Shovel Knight, give them 10 years. They'll pump out a stinker. It happens. Everybody fucks up. And I don't even think Mighty Number 9 is a bad game. I really don't. I think it's a pretty good game. Not an amazing game, but it's fun enough. So that's my assessment and my thoughts and everything, and you're going to hear more about it in the Let's Play. I do recommend you watch Let's Play because my live reaction to everything. I am playing everything for the first time. I never played the demo. I watched videos of the demo, but I never played the demo. I never really... So everything that you're seeing is me playing it for the first time. So I recommend that. If you're still on the fence about this, check out my videos, you know. Over the next 2 weeks, you're going to be seeing that. Anyway, leave me your comments and everything, and I'll get to them next week. I'll see you guys for the next Potato Cast.